Okay, so what's the word, man? We're with Elaine The Paine. How are you right now?
I'm good, I'm good. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Anytime, man. So let's just do a quick intro about yourself. Where are you from?
So my parents are Jamaican, and I grew up around about Essex, so as you can tell by my accent. But like East London girl, I guess.
Mm-mm. So what do you do with yourself as well?
So I'm a content creator. I create political and black content for my black community. I like to comment on current and trending situations that are going on in our community. And I also like to put out stories in our community as well on what's going on there. So, yeah.
No, for sure. Like, talk me into how you got into content creation.
So basically, it was around about 2020 when like TikTok was taking off. And I used to do like, the miming videos and stuff like that, like singing videos and word videos and whatever. But I didn't really get traction. And I was like, how can I, it was kind of entertainment, and then it rolled into like social commentary, if that makes sense. So I just started commenting on like social things and really giving my opinion, like am I allowed to swear in here?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like the no shit opinion. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, just say what I need to say.
So what kind of shifted you into that black consciousness?
So what shifted me into black consciousness was when I was doing videos on black people, or I was commenting on black stories. For instance, I was highly affected by like how black women were being treated in the media or just treated in life in general. And my role was kind of like prioritizing black women and black women's content and commenting on black women. And I feel like I built a community of black women out of that. So yeah.
So let's fast forward a little bit to the boycotting. Why do you think black people should be boycotting Asian businesses?
It's more about economics. That's the driving force of it, and about how to circulate black money into the community. I like to phrase it as looking at it with context. So my context is I look on the high street, and the South Asians have monopolized, the whole high street. And I like to think of it as like, Monopoly, where you've played the game Monopoly, right? So it's like when you land on a hotel or a house or whatever, you have to pay people money. And I feel like that's what we are doing when it comes to the South Asians. And I feel like right now we need to be mindful, we need to be careful about where we're spending our money, because I don't really feel like we're conscious enough about where we're directing our pennies and how we can help our community.
No, definitely, because to be fair, I would say like I remember seeing like when it comes to black people's money, it circulates like the shortest amount of time.
Yeah.
I think it's like 1.2 times or something.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to think of. Whilst other communities, it's like 5 times, 7 times.
Yeah.
Before it leaves, which is crazy. But there's a lot of people who might say that, but black people were here before Asians. And it's like, and to be fair, I don't subscribe to the idea for reasons that but it's like, sometimes I do think like, what took us so long to actually start having these conversations and be building our own stuff, you know what I mean?
I think for me, what people need to do is they need to look at black history and look at how we were treated in this country. And I feel like it's very easy to be like, oh, black people never worked hard, black people were lazy, black people this, black people that. But unless you actually understand the black British history and how we came to be, and right now where we are, how we are in this situation, I don't think people realize that black people absolutely had companies, they had shops, they owned stuff, right? But I like to think of it as, if I can like simplify, the history is that the UK government declared war on us. So what does that mean by that? We didn't have access that the South Asians did. And I'm literally trying to drive that home. That all the South Asians keep saying is, oh, Elaine said that we gave them the government gave them handouts. Well, no, because if you look at the South Asian history and how they also immigrated post-war, you will see that half of them came with money, right, from countries like Kenya and Uganda and all of those sorts of things. But some people don't necessarily know about that history and how that came to be. So yeah, I think it's important to reflect on those sorts of things.
And that's why I don't fully subscribe to that, because I did see that Asians, a lot of the Asians that are now here, especially the wealthy ones, especially the Indians, a lot of them were expelled from, as you said, Kenya, Uganda, and they already came with finance. And if they didn't come with finance, they came with education, connections. They knew how certain businesses operated off the back. Yeah,
because they were the model minorities in those African countries.
And also on top of that, I think when you look at like colonialism, Caribbeans and Africans, the primary reason for the British being there was for extraction of resources, whether that's cocoa, sugar, or whatever else there may be. Whilst that extraction was still there in Asia, but a lot of it, there was also manufacturing as well, which is good for a service economy, which kind of gave them that advantage over Africans and Caribbeans.
Absolutely. Well, this is the thing, you know, when you know your history and you know kind of the trajectory that it was going in, you can predict certain things. And like, you know, in terms of how the colonialism worked in their countries, right? They were, and compared to us, we were slaves. They were indentured servants. So they could work off and they got paid, might not be much, but they got paid, right, to run, you know, retail services, or to run, you know, the railway lines and all of these sorts of things. And the white people educated the Asians to do that because they didn't want to manage black people. So that's why I say they were the buffer class between white people and black people. And, you know, they did it very well.
And also, I would also like to state the fact that, like, when it comes to Asians, there's way more Asians compared to black people. I think we're like 3% of the population. So it's like, I think it's easier for them to kind of come together, pull their money together, and kind of build and cascade from there. You
know what the difference is? It's because we were here first and we got the brunt of the racism, right? So we had to survive, we had to integrate extremely quickly, okay? Integrate into the British culture, the British way of life. And we never got to keep our culture, right? We never got to speak our patois in, you know, or around spaces. We had to speak English, right? We never got to speak the Yoruba and all of those sorts of things because, you know, the white man was offended. So we had to quickly adjust, right? And I feel like when the South Asians came over here, they didn't necessarily have to integrate. And this is why the white people have a problem with them now, because they're not integrating as much as we did. Do you know what I mean? So they got to keep their language, they got to keep their culture, they got to keep their celebrations and all of those sorts of things. However, we were stripped of that. So while the white man was watching black people, they weren't watching South Asians. So that's why the South Asians flew under the radar and they quickly, you know, built generational wealth.
You know what though, I would say there's other reasons why Asians tend to do further, and you know, I wouldn't say why they do go further than us, but I think there's reasons why our community hasn't kind of went that.
And what are those reasons?
A whole range of things, honestly. There's a whole range of things, like single parent households. Black people in general is about 50% of children are raised in single parent homes, which is insane if you ask me. And then children raised in single parent households have a lower life satisfaction on average, 100% more likely to be at risk of mental health, issues with cohabitating with a partner, which again kind of perpetuates the cycle. 4 times at risk of homelessness. So I think there's a lot of issues within our own community as well that kind of hinder us.
Do you know what? Every community has their issues, okay? Every single community. The white community has their issues. The Jewish community has their issues. The South Asian community has their issues, right? But it doesn't mean that they haven't succeeded. The reason why they have, you know, gone a little bit further than black people is because they haven't necessarily had the treatment that we have had. right, in this country. So when I talk about that, I talk about the housing discrimination, you know, people burning down our businesses and our homes. For us, we actually, when the South Asians came here, they had racism too, but black people absolutely protested with them and protected them. And I feel like sometimes the South Asians forget that history and they don't give black people the credit that, you know, they are due necessarily, because we're the ones who actually protested for our rights, and for them to have the right to, you know, a house or whatever it is covered because of black people, because we were the ones that were advocating for everybody else. And, you know, all minorities fall under that category. So, you know, when we talk about, you know, problems that are happening in our community, absolutely. And this is why I'm saying the first thing, if we want to fix our community, the first thing we need to do is look at our finances and where our finances are going. Because if we are conscious about that, we can absolutely help build families and repair, you know, the black community to what we want it to be in the future.
Because I definitely do agree with the whole financial aspect of it. I think it's good for us to be more conscious about where our money goes to. Like, even for example, myself, like I don't like to go to like a hair store that isn't black owned, because it makes no sense. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So even when it comes to like Caribbean or African food, I don't want to go to one of them shops and it's not cooked.
It's not cooked right. Yeah, absolutely. I feel like, see, this is the thing when we're talking about, like, you know, where we're spending our money and things like that. I feel like a lot of what I've experienced so far in the last couple of weeks is that black people need to do their research and we need to pull our own weight, because I feel like, because I'm the driving force to this, it's all on me. And I'm saying it's not all on me. You guys can do exactly what I'm doing. If you just took a 5-second Google search, you will find black owned shops, you will find black butchers, you will find black cash and carries or Caribbean cash and carries that carry your food. But it's just, you know, when we have, I wouldn't say like a revolution, but when we have something that's trending, that's, you know, for us, we look to that one person. And I'm saying, I don't need to be the head honcho in this. I don't need to be the driving force in this. You guys can do it with me. You can stand shoulder to shoulder. You can do your little videos. You can speak on how you can come with solutions to the black community and kind of help out that way. But I feel like we need to come out of this mindset and mentality that it's all on Elaine and Elaine's driving this, and what do we do next, Elaine? It's not that, right? When we look at, you know, what we are doing, it needs to be a lifestyle adjustment. We need to absolutely make sure that we are changing our lives to benefit our community, which is black people.
No, definitely. I fully agree with that. I would say though, I think one big thing that we do need to do is as well, I think we need to bring back the black family, because I feel like, as I've mentioned, about with black Africans, is 48% of children are born in what do you call it, in a single parent household, and with Caribbeans it's 51%, 52%, which is horrific if you ask me, if I'm being honest. And when it comes to Asians, I think it's only it's about 18 to 20%.
I don't know the figures on that, so I'm just gonna have to go with your figures.
Yes, it's about 18 to 20. No, wrong. I was 12.6 to 20%.
Okay.
With Asian ethnic groups, which kind of makes sense, because that means that since they're a couple, obviously money stays in the family, and it can get passed down more easily. Two-parent household, so it's easier for them to buy a home, pass it down to their children. Like, for example, there was a point in time when I was talking to someone who was from Sri Lanka, and she was telling me how in her family, right, back in Leicester, so she lives there with her mum, her dad, her stepdad, her sisters, and a little brother, and then her sister who's married. She lives in that same house. She has her husband in that house. So they're basically paying little to no rent, and they're able to scale up and get another home in due time, if that makes sense.
Which is safe, yeah. But that's in their culture though. So what they do is, if my memory serves me correctly, they marry, and then the wife goes to live with her husband's family, right? And she's there until they can save to buy a house. It's like, yeah, it's kind of like a foolproof plan. That's great. But in terms of, you know, our culture and what we do, it doesn't necessarily have to be that, because black people have money. It's not like we don't have money. It's just that we're propping up other communities. And, you know, we don't have to live in different households, because that's not what white people do. If you look at other cultures and white people, how they move, they don't need to live with mum and dad and all of these sorts of things.
No, but I think the difference why white people are... Who said it? I think Dr. Yuma said it perfectly. The reason why white people are able to actually... It's easier for them to move out and be by themselves is because they have more economic wealth than us. We don't have... I'm pretty sure black people have the least amount of wealth compared to all the other communities. Not saying we have no money, but we have the least amount of wealth, which means we can't be individualistic. And Western society is an individualistic culture. However, back home in Africa and the Caribbean, we're not individualistic. It's very community based. Even if you don't live with mum and dad, you'll live like maybe 5-10 minutes away, and then like all your brothers and siblings will live very close to each other, and you can all kind of connect like that.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why we need to kind of... We don't have to be super extreme like 5 married couples in one house, but if we can find a way where we can kind of pull together and kind of come together and put this like materialistic stuff that's pushed on us through music and media aside, and focus on actually having that real wealth.
Okay, say that again.
What part did you get lost on?
So I got lost when you said, what do we need to pull together in terms, like, what do we need to do? Because obviously if you have the white people formula, which is you're saying, but not all of them have generational wealth, right?
No,
but when you look at the white community and how they've operated, sometimes not everything is handed down to them. And when you look at their culture and how it is they save every penny that they have, and then they put it into their homes, whatever. They're more likely to get a mortgage because, yes, they are white, right? But you know, when you look at the average person in terms of the white couple or the Asian couple, the South Asian couple, or the black couple are less likely to get a mortgage. So you need to also look at, credit and all of those sorts of things, and debts and whatever it is, because it's not just as simple as, you know, we need to be piled up in one house. There's a lot more factors that go into that, and also we need to acknowledge that racism absolutely exists. And I'm saying that not to do the whole victim mentality thing. It's more like black people, we can raise capital by our damn selves. We don't need anyone else to do it. And we need to move as a community and fund each other as a community to bring us, you know, in the race, if that makes sense, right? We don't have to do it like the white people. We don't have to do it like the South Asians. We can do it how we want to do it, and the way we do it is by pulling resources as a community and then distributing that out. You know what I mean?
No, definitely. I think my argument was more that I think because we have less on average, just on our average scale, it would make sense for us to be more kind of like community orientated, because I feel like these days, I feel like a lot of black people want to be more individualistic, which is more of a Western concept. Us back home, a lot of us are very interconnected.
Yeah, but that's because we lost our culture. We've integrated so much that we believe unity is the answer. And it's kind of laughable to me, because it's like, we've been unified for how long with all of these communities, and where has unity got us? It hasn't got us our own schools. It hasn't got us our own hospitals. It hasn't pushed our community forward to where we need it to be. So now we need to change up the system. The system is not for black people. It's not for any minorities other than white people. So why are we subscribing to this system? We need to build our own system, our own infrastructure, and our own networks. That's what we need to focus on and do. But, you know, for some reason, I'm getting pushed back.
When it comes to this boycott as well, do you think that should apply to holiday destinations as well?
I feel like black people just need to be conscious. It's the same here. You need to be conscious about where you're spending your money. To be honest, if you need to be connected to your roots, right? And if you're doing this boycott here because you want to economically contribute to your community, then you do that also when you go on holiday, right? So you look for destinations that welcome black people, that are safe for black people, and that you want to experience. A load of us, you know, we come from the Caribbean and Africa and all of these sorts of things, but we jet off to bloody Spain and Portugal and Europe and all of those sorts of things, instead of actually saying, okay, cool. You know, the other day I saw a video of Angola. You know, Angola looks like Dubai. There's a city in Angola and it looks like Dubai. I've never been to Angola before. That's the first time. And I'm saying to myself, why am I not going to these places? Why am I taking my ass to Thailand when I could take my ass to Angola for a week or two and experience my people and their cultures? And I feel like we need to be more rooted in that. So when you're talking about going abroad, I would encourage black people to visit Africa and visit places that will broaden their horizon and kind of make them feel more connected to the continent.
No, definitely. Because you know what? Talking about the continent, about a month or so ago, I remember seeing like on Twitter, there was a lot of people just having diaspora wars and that, like Caribbeans and Africans. For me, it's like, oh, you guys are all niggas. Like,
I've been in a diaspora or two. I'm not gonna lie.
But for me, it's like probably like it doesn't matter if your name is Ade, or if your name's Tyrone. Like you're a nigger. At the end of the day, you're all the same, you know what I mean? And it's like, for me, it's like, especially when it comes to the British context, if we're being real, most of, if the majority of us stay here long enough, there's not going to be no Caribbean Africans, all going to be merged in.
Yes.
And if we're being real, most of us be doing each other. So it's like, we're kind of going towards that anyway.
Yeah.
So we need to actually kind of put that away and kind of think about our community here in the UK.
I agree, but I still feel like we need to be connected in a way that we haven't before. To be honest, I really feel like between the Africans and the Caribbeans, it's kind of got a bit better in terms of, you know, how we see each other and welcome each other and share our foods and cuisines and music and all of those sorts of things, you know. And even with Afro beats and Afro swing being popularized, and, you know, more Caribbeans are listening to it and hailing up Africans, and, you know, it's Black Pride and all of those sorts of things. So I feel like when it comes to, you know, the Africans and the Caribbeans, we have each other's back regardless. We're all black. Do you know what I mean? Like, you are my brother, you are my sister. No one, you know, when you have like sibling rivalry, but like if an outsider comes in, you're like, pump your motherfucking brakes, bitch. You know what I'm saying? Like, who are you? Like, come out. It's us. You know what I'm saying? Because we're arguing the siblings, innit? You know your siblings. You argue, you fuss and you fight. But when it comes to, you know, us protecting each other, we absolutely do. We don't need to be asked.
Definitely. I do think a lot more people do need to like tap into like Pan-Africanism as well.
Yes.
Because I feel like, because at least my thoughts is that like Africa and the Caribbean and even like parts of Latin America is like, in my opinion, those three places are probably the future. And if we can kind of like tap into all these three places, then that would be good. And especially since we have that capital to do so, it's like it will be good for us to kind of find a way to develop these places, not just short term but long term as well.
Absolutely. You know, I recently went on a podcast with this Black Brazilian because he really wanted, you know, to have me on as well. And, you know, he was talking about like, you know, the Brazilians and how he feels that they're perceived and stuff like that. And it really broke my heart because it was like, for me as a black person, and when I'm on like my Pan-Africanist journey, I feel like I could do more for the Black Brazilians in terms of knowing who they are, knowing their struggle, because we all know, you know, the Black British struggle, the Black American struggle, whatever, you know what I'm saying? But because, you know, after the continent of Africa, the biggest population of black people is Brazil, right? And we don't know anything. We don't know their activists. We don't know their struggles. We hardly listen to their music. We don't know their influence. Like, I do know that, you know, there's a heavy population that has roots in Nigeria. Yoruba. Yeah, absolutely. But that's as far as it goes. And I feel like it's my duty as a black British person, as a, you know, in my journey as Pan-Africanist, to study that and know that, and whenever I can tell their story also, because I feel like maybe there's also a language barrier in there. So when we get over that, I feel like we can be connected even more, and it will be a beautiful thing.
Definitely, yeah. And I think that because you know what, I'm gonna ask you this question: do you think like as black people, do you think that we should be thinking about laying our roots here in the UK, or do you think we should actually genuinely go back, and not even on a racist go back? I mean, like, should we actually go back to the Caribbean, Africa, and help develop these places?
I feel like what we need to think about is economics, right? And when our grandparents immigrated over here, right? Because I assume your grandparents immigrated over here.
No, parents.
Oh, your parents.
Yeah.
Your parents' parents. So
no, my actual.
Your parents emigrated here.
Yeah.
Right, but when they emigrated here, let me ask you a question. So when they emigrated here, because I don't want to assume, was it for life or was it for work and then going back home?
So with my dad, he came here initially. I think he came here to study and work. And to be fair, if I'm being honest, I feel like he probably got lost in the sauce and stayed here.
Right.
And then obviously, my dad. I think my dad was in back and forth, and then obviously when I was born in Nigeria, that they came to the UK.
Yeah. The reason why I asked that is because I would assume that, you know, our parents or our grandparents would want to go back home because that's where they were born, right? And I feel like there's a calling for me as well to do that. Like, I don't feel like this country is where I'm going to be laid to rest. I really don't. Hell no. Do you know what I mean? And I it's deep down in my gut to be like, I need to find a country where I'm safe, I'm happy, and I'm around my people. And I'm looking to do that. It's just where. My heart is telling me Africa, but I don't know exactly where.
I'll probably say Ghana. Ghana's probably like one of the safest countries in Africa, and it's quite like they do the whole like EF invitation thing, so you can definitely go through.
But I was also thinking about Gambia, because apparently as well, Gambia has a really big Jamaican population, and then also, like, you know, Jamaica's beautiful as well. Like it would either be the Caribbean or it would either be Africa, right? And I just feel like as of right now, it's more looking like Africa, but I need to find somewhere, you know, like I feel like even with, you know, I have a child right now, I don't necessarily believe in like the school system and what they're teaching my child or my kid. And I feel like I need to take on that obligation to make her experience the whole world in its entirety, or as much as possible. But I need her to be around her people, and I need her to be rooted. And that's something I take extremely seriously. And in this political climate where where black people are at, I do not think we should be here, because the world is so big and we can make so much money internationally. Why are you rooted here? That's the question.
Because, you know, I just think it's quite, because to be fair, there's a lot of people, even like some Caribbeans but even some Africans, surprisingly, that have like, this is all they know, you know what I mean? There's not that much connection, so it's hard to like think about uprooting yourself and leaving. But then I do think, because I do think that discussion needs to be had, but I think it needs to be, if we do leave and go back and we have our UK money, I do think we do need to find a way to like integrate with the local population as well.
When we go back home?
Yeah, because
absolutely.
I remember seeing like, I was watching something and I was in Ghana, because obviously they do the EF invitation or whatnot, and a lot of African Americans especially are going back. And then obviously like there's struggles with the assimilation part of it, because obviously when they come in, the price of things go
bloody
higher,
American,
and then on top of that, like I think there's culture clashes as well, because even though there are people, it's like the way they act, the lifestyle they live is a bit different. So, you know what I mean?
I agree. I remember seeing a video of this one lady where she said, I believe it was actually Ghana, and she was saying she was employing like obviously black Ghanaians as construction workers or something like that. And I believe, don't quote me, but I believe she was saying like she wanted to pay them more, but when she paid them more, they were doing less work. And so it was kind of like a blowback on her, because she was like, I want to pay them more, but when they were getting paid more, they were turning up late, they weren't really doing the work and all of these sorts of things. So she was like, for me, it was a culture shock, as well as, you know, her trying to adjust to so she was saying for her it was a culture shock, and also as well as like her having to adjust to their culture and their way of life. So that was quite surprising,
because I feel like even like obviously Nigeria is somewhat similar to Ghana, and I think, you know, it is with that. I think with a lot of like Africans, they don't, especially if they're working class, they don't kind of experience certain levels of money, so they feel like it's an easy lick. It's like, oh yeah, like man's giving me extra change. So
yeah,
like, bro, like, why
I don't need to do more.
You know what I mean? So, and I do think, and sometimes they do even think like, okay, that's my people, I can kind of take their piss at it. I think that's one thing we need to work on us.
But you know what it is? I feel like that's more about leadership. And if you can talk and connect with your people, no matter where they are in the world, if you can connect and talk with your people and set a standard and don't let that standard slip, I feel like you'd have productive people. So I'm not really sure how she was managing, you know, the Ghanaian construction workers or whatever. I don't pretend to know how to run a $1 billion company. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know. But you know, people are people, and you need to understand how they behave in cultures and also in certain countries. So when you understand that and you understand their motivations, I'm pretty sure she would get more out of those men.
You know, because I think with that, you, at least with like Nigerians, I can say it's like you need to be firm but fair.
Yes.
Like, you can't let them take you for a dickhead, but you can also show them love, you know what I mean? Absolutely. I feel like that would be progressive. Because I think one thing is like a lot of people don't see certain types of money, so it's like, especially if you start giving someone money and it's regular, they might think it's an entitlement rather than just a little gift.
Do you know what she could have done? She could have like give them a bonus at the end of the year. That would have been more motivational. So it's like you're getting paid your money, but at the end of the year you'll get a bonus.
No, definitely, especially if like they hit or exceed.
Yeah, exactly.
So I wanted to ask you this. It's more of a statement, not even a question. I did want to say, for me personally, I think the average Asian person individually is more racist than the average white person on an individual level. What do you think about that?
In my personal opinion and what I've experienced, I absolutely agree with you, and I'll tell you why. I've called out white people all the time. You know, I've gone viral for calling out white people, and I never got. And when I called out the Asian people, the South Asians particularly, the level of racism was absolutely disgusting and abhorrent, right? And it keeps on going. Even now, in my TikTok comments, in my Instagram comments, they don't stop, especially on TikTok anyway. But it's like, it was kind of a shock to me, because I was like, you know, everyone has their little racist ways and whatever it is. But with the South Asians, there wasn't a line, there wasn't a boundary. They just kept on going and going and going. And I feel like one thing that I will give white people props for is that we taught them how to treat us. Now, this hasn't just been like, you know, over whatever. I feel like it started from like BLM, where basically the white community have anti-racists in their community that will pull up the other white community for how they are being racist, right? If that makes sense to you. So you see it in the videos that they post when something goes down in the black community or whatever it is, they're right on it. How can this happen to a black woman? Or if racism happens towards us, how can this happen to a black man? You know, Tiny Pod, shout out Tiny Pod. But the other day when a black man got hit in the handcuffs by a police officer, and literally this white woman stood over him and protected him from all of those police officers, right? Because they have anti-racists in their community that will check their other people, right? But when it comes to the South Asians, there is absolutely no one in their community to check them for their racial bias or their anti-blackness. And case in point is when, you know, there was a guy on TikTok and he done a video basically calling me to saying that basically I need good wood. So if any South Asians are out there that, you know, can give me good wood. And I found it quite serious because it was like, you're calling me to be raped. That's what you're calling me for them to do. And if they can't get to me, they can get to another black woman. If somebody had their head chipped or, you know what I'm saying, or had unwell thoughts, and that's the sort of thing that no one pulled him up on it. Not even black men on TikTok. There may be one, Kwame and Maestro, big ups to them, shouts to them. But they were the only two black men that I saw that called that South Asian man out. Other than that, people were just dogpiling. And it was absolutely disgusting. And then even recently, there was a South Asian man that put on a Rastafarian hat with locks and was talking the Jamaican slang, because clearly every black person is Jamaican, right? Was talking the Jamaican slang. And it's like, so can you imagine if I was to put on a sari and act like a Bollywood character and take the piss out of the South Asians? Do you think that will go down? And once again, no motherfucker checked him. And to me, that's a problem, because you can't come into our community and feel like, yeah, we're pally and all of those sorts of things, and then you want to mock our culture. Are you crazy? And no one checked him. I'm the one who checked him for it, but nobody else did. And that to me is a problem. Black people are not feared enough. Yeah, we're feared because we're criminalized, but you're not feared because you're taking the piss out of our culture. That's my culture you're taking the piss out of, and no one checked you for it. I can't fuck with that at all, and I'm going to stick it on them every single time.
Because, you know, for me, because I feel like looking at the whole backlash thing, for me, it's like, I feel like some people use that as opportunity, that some South Asians use that as an opportunity to just be racist.
Yeah.
Like, I'll see one video is basically just kind of implying that black people are just more lazy and
yeah.
shit. Like, oh, damn, like, is this what you think about the community that you serve to? You know what I mean? And for me, it's like,
yeah.
I see one video of this guy saying, "Oh yeah, that's good. That means less people stealing." And
yes.
Like, for me, it's like, bro, you know what? If I was selling something to a group of people that I think that might rob me, I will work with that community. So if that community isn't good enough for you to do business with, leave that community and go elsewhere.
And this is why I am driving this boycott. You've got my intent. My intent is not to be divisive. My intent is to uplift black people and give them the power that they need to spend wisely. Why would you spend with a community that gives zero back to you? And this is why I made a point in terms of, you know, I've got a load of pushback from black men where they were like, oh, I said the hair shops, you're selling our products to our people. You don't know about our hair. You don't know about our skin. There's so many products that we actually don't need, but still you sell it to us. Do you give anything back? Because you're using, and then I used another example. I said Turtle Bay, it's owned by South Asian, but you're using our likeness, our food, our cuisine, our culture to profit off of it. I even said Africana. That's coming up.
Bro, it's local to my area. It's like you won't catch me being there.
Right. And who is employed in there?
Not black people.
Thank you. And this is the thing. I'm having black men sitting there telling me, going, oh, it's business. No, the fuck it's not. Have a backbone and tell people, don't do that to our culture. And unless you're giving back, because can you imagine a white person do it? And white people do it, but we crucify them and we pull them up in it and say, don't use our culture, right? And don't use our likeness. So if we can pull up white people for it, why the hell can't we put up South Asians? Let me know. And they sit there till they're blue in the face talking about we need unity and all of these sorts of things. And I'm sitting there thinking, some of you black men are fucking eunuchs. I have bigger balls than you. Right? Why should I be the one advocating for our community to be better and do better and shut our doors to outsiders? Why do I have to say that? It's mad.
No, definitely, man. I think it's definitely insane. But I think, do you think it would be possible for people to actually have like that full shift? Because we can do it with food, we can do it with like beauty and hair, but we can't. I feel like it's very hard to do it when it comes to like convenience stores, supermarkets, even like entertainment, like maybe cinema. You know what I mean?
Listen, the reason why I said boycott their
I'm so sorry, apologies.
Okay.
To add on as well, because for example, I remember having this conversation with a friend of mine he's African as well, and he was talking, and he was saying what he was showing me real life was that the reason why it's hard for black people to open some of these stores, especially hair and beauty, and even certain like food stores, is because suppliers who tend to be Asian, South Asian, will give us like either higher prices or our quotas, minimum orders are going to be higher, which means it's harder to compete because we don't, especially when we don't have like that bankroll to get started.
Well, this is the thing. This is why I call for the boycott, number one, because we need to run finances in our community. Number two, I feel like if there are a number of black hair shops in the area, what you need to do is come together, have a little family meeting and say, listen, the South Asians are taking the fucking piss out of us, right? And what we want to do is if you have stuff that you want to order, you have stuff that you want to order, let's do a bulk orders together, because that's exactly what the South Asians do. Let's do a bulk order together and then we distribute it amongst us and all of those sorts of things. I'm not saying that this is going to happen over weeks. This is going to be years in the making. But if black people absolutely make that conscious change and make it a lifestyle, you will see our community change in a matter of years. And, you know, when we look at the pricing and all of those sorts of things, we have to start somewhere. And the South Asians are not the only people on the planet that supply us with things, right? We can make links to Africa the same way they do. We can make links to our own country the same way they do. We can make links to Black America the same way they do. So instead of being damsels in distress, come with solutions where you can cut out the middleman. It's simple.
No, definitely, I fully agree.
But sorry, I also want to talk on like the pricing as well, because, you know, some black people are complaining about, you know, pricing and all of these sorts of things. Like, for instance, there was this one guy and he was like, oh yeah, a tin of callaloo in the South Asians is $2.99, but in the black shop it's like $4.99. And I said, eat that. Go to the black man and eat that and be like, yeah, I'm going to pay the $4.99 because I'm spending it with my people, because we have to start somewhere. This is the reason why they have to price their prices so high, is because no one's shopping there. They still have overheads. They still have rent to pay. They still have stock to, like, you know what I'm saying, buy.
When it comes to like black owners, like black business owners, I think with certain things, as I told you about the minimum order requirements.
Yes.
When you're getting from South Asians, they might skew your minimum order requirement or your price higher. And obviously, the more you buy, the cheaper it gets. And obviously, if you're a standout buyer, they're gonna keep the price low for you. But it still goes like that. Like, I even remember like, someone told me a story about some black woman who was starting like a hair business or something, and what she had to do, she was getting crazy quotes. So what she had to do, she had to get a South Asian friend to go on the phone and then just order for her. So you know what I mean?
But then
which is crazy.
It's crazy, but what black business owners need to do is they need to go straight to the source, right? And I'll give you an example. You see American Gangster with Denzel Washington, right? And I think he was like playing the role of Bumpy Johnson, right? It's the same thing that he did. When he tried to go to the Connect priced him so fucking high, right? So what he did was he went to Vietnam or Taiwan or wherever it is where the ting was sourced, and he cut out all the middlemen and made a business deal with the actual person who is the root, you know what I'm saying, like supplier. Why can't black businesses do that? You need to start thinking out the box. You need to start thinking, how the hell can I get around these people? Go straight to the source. If you need to save up your ticket, plan your trip, know what the hell you're doing, go to the source to get a cheaper price and do it that way. It's simple if you think about it. But because you're not stepping out of your comfort zone, because you're not stepping out of your box, you just leave it to other people to run your thing. Can't work.
Real life though. Real life, definitely. What do you think about like black people who, like, for example, I've seen a lot I might have to stop using the N-word, but like I see a lot of people saying like taking videos of Bossman saying like, oh what, like are black people still coming there, this, that, and the third?
Oh, that's I know exactly who you're talking about. That's that guy called Blacker, or whoever is the black guy or the black luxury, whoever the hell he is. I can't remember his name, but he tags me in all of his TikTok videos, right? Because he wants clout off of my name. He's not going to get clout. I've paid that man dust. But what people don't understand is the reason why he's bum licking South Asian so hard is because he sells oud. He sells oud. And who loves oud? The South Asians and the Arabs, right? So he is bum licking them as hard as possible and plugging his business in, which is oud. And the South Asians are falling for it. You know what I'm saying? Obviously he's playing the game or whatever, but that's what it is. He's like, oh yeah, because the South Asians support my business other than my people. He's got a self-hatred in him that I don't understand, right? And this is the thing when black people do that, when they blame the customer instead of blaming your business practices. You can absolutely get customers, especially from your community. You just need to know how they think. But because you've just opened up a business and expect people to just to come, you're not doing the work. And I feel like we need to have education and an overhaul in terms of how we do business or how we open up businesses and how we conduct it. I feel like black business women and men need to go on a course, especially on marketing and especially on customer service. It needs to be a yearly thing.
Because I did see some people say that with that. Obviously, when I'm not trying to paint wide brush strokes,
No.
But like I've seen some people, like there's some people will say that when it comes to black people, especially with certain services, the customer service tends to be a bit more, it tends to be worse, and that, for example, especially when it comes to hair, like I see some women complain about, that sometimes like dealing with black people is just annoying because like attitude and this, that, the third. Like even you heard a stereotype about going to a Jamaican shop and it's like the auntie's rude to you, and they not have that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what do you think about that?
I feel like for black businesses to function in this country, they have to get a grip on customer service. You will not have a successful business if you do not have great customer service, okay? Even if your food is shit, a customer will come back because they're like, I mean, it was the last time, but the customer service was great. So you know what? I'm going to give it another go. Do you understand? So when you really think about that, like it's not rocket science here, but it's because they don't have the training or the education. And I want to change that, right? But I also want to change black people's mindsets as well, because us as customers, we expect a bit too much from them. And I was thinking like that as well, because when I would step into a black establishment, the customer service needs to be high and they need to do this and they need to do that. And if they're not, I'm kissing my teeth and I'm slamming up the door and all of these sorts of things. No. That's what we shouldn't be doing, because at the end of the day, we've literally just got access in the last couple of years, right, to do what we need to do. So as far as I'm concerned, these businesses are babies compared to these conglomerate companies and all of these big ass, you know what I'm saying, making millions of pounds and whatever. We don't even touch the sides. So what we're going to do is, when you come across somebody who is actually thinking, say, oh, you know what, can I speak to the manager, please? Because I do. And the manager, they're normal human beings. They're just like me and you. So if you speak to them and be like, you know what, I didn't really like the service that I got today and I want to spend my black ass money with you, but I can't because I don't feel like I'm valued. So can you, change it or maybe see how you can work? And I'm pretty sure the manager would be like, absolutely, of course. Like, what can I do or how can I help? Because I want my business to be better. Give them feedback. I feel like we don't give them feedback enough to change. And it's like we're just leaving them, to just flop by themselves. No.
Do you think as black people sometimes we kind of have overly high expectations as well? Like we want the red carpet when we go to another black business.
Yes. And you don't expect that from a freaking Tesco. You don't expect red carpet from a Tesco or a Sainsbury's or a Londi's or a Lidl or Aldi. And if you even do experience someone, what do you do? What's the first thing you do? You go to a manager, no? You raise a complaint, no? So why the hell can't you do that in a black establishment as well? Come on, guys. We need to do better and change our mindset, because you're still going to go back to that Tesco, even though someone was rude to you, because it's what? It's convenient, it's local and all of those sorts of things.
Okay, so as a community, what do you think black people need to do to actually improve ourselves? Other than like the financial aspects that you've mentioned?
I feel like we need to improve our mindset. We need to improve how we're speaking to each other. And we need to improve the topics that we're conversating over. Right? So none of this 50-50 shit, women this, women that, red pill this, red pill that. Listen, this right here is a revolution, and it's a reset, right? It's a community reset. And what we need to do is we need to garner conversations of solution-based topics about how we can improve our community. Not everyone will get it, because you will have some coons coming in and trying to, derail the ting. But I'm just going to say, this ain't the blood clot panther party, and no one will infiltrate my ting, you understand? And everything needs to be above board. And I feel like this is where sometimes we go wrong, because certain things aren't above board, and certain people get carried away with themselves. You always need checks and balances. I need someone, in every sort of business or whatever it is, you need someone to check you, and you also need balances involved. So I feel like as the Black community, change your mindset, change the way we talk to each other. It needs to be with more love. And also, we need an authority to check our young Black men. Now, I want to champion and I want to encourage older Black men to check the young Black men, right? As long as you're respected in the community and all those sorts of things, I feel like you absolutely have the right to check them about what they are doing.
I think a lot of this starts from home, because you know what? I did, this is gonna teeter into another subject, but I was talking to someone about this, and I have my own theory about why Black men are the race that tends to stay outside the race more compared to other races.
And what do you think it's about?
My theory is that, since a lot of us come from some form of dysfunction, statistically, obviously we're at home. A lot of Black men will be at home and they see maybe their mothers move in a certain type of way, or their mum, unfortunately, their mum might be unstable, or doing certain type of things, and obviously that's because of poverty and dysfunction. And obviously if they're in poverty and dysfunction, the area is probably going to reflect that too. So they're going to see Black women doing the same thing, girls their age group doing the same type of thing, and subconsciously they're going to think, oh wow, so this is what Black women are doing. Let me go to Sally or something. Let me go to Ellie. You know what I mean? Subconsciously. And I do think partially as well, I think with, obviously...
Sorry, before you move on, can I challenge you on that? Because you've brought up a point. So if you are saying that Black men look around and they see... Subconsciously, and they see, how women behave in their community, don't you feel like, why is it that, because we all grew up around enough the same kind of, disciplines and all that stuff. So why is it that Black women aren't dating outside their race at the same rate? Because they still go through what they're going through. They still grow up in those homes. So wouldn't it be like Black women would also be likely to date outside their race?
You might have checkmated me there. I've never
I'm just asking a question.
I ain't thought about it from the women's perspective.
Yeah.
I only kind of thought about it from the men's perspective. Because what I was going to add on to that as well, I do think, obviously, I know I'm probably going to get a lot of backlash for what I'm about to say, but I do think, I'm not a fan of, the whole, weave thing. And my reason for it is because I feel like I want to promote, Black beauty type shit. I want natural hair, and you know what I mean. And I think subconsciously, again, if a boy or a young man sees their mother and the Black women in their community wanting to have wearing weave and wigs and that, they might and not even just on a one-off, the protective styles and that. If they see that on a regular occasion, they're gonna think, oh, how comes mum wants to be wants the same kind of hair texture as a white woman? Maybe the white woman's better, quote unquote, if that makes sense, subconsciously. And because, for example, I've had this conversation with some Black women, not even about talking about them, and just talking generally.
And what have they said?
And it's quite, I think it's quite, what do you call it? Quite defensive, sensitive and defensive. Yeah, sensitive is the better topic. So I think we need to have these conversations about
Do you
this.
know why that is? Because you have a black woman right here that's willing to explain it to you in a controlled way.
Go for it.
Do you understand the history of black women's hair? Do you know? Are you aware?
Not too much.
And this is where the problem lies, because, you know, and I've always said this, I feel like just because I'm not saying you, I'm just saying in general, when black men speak on black women's hair, just because you come from a black woman and just because you sleep with a black woman, it doesn't necessarily mean that you know black women, right? And the reason why I say that is because if you look at the history and how it came to be, it stems back from, because you have to think about how long we've been free, and it's been just shy of 100 years. Like, it's not like been 400 years, it's literally just shy, and then even half that to when we actually got our rights, right? And then integration and all these sorts of things. And I feel like that's not what people really take into consideration. So when you think about the journey of a black woman, we were not encouraged to show our hair because white women or white people in general were offended by our hair, right? Offended by our afros, offended by what grew out of our head. So what we had to do, we had to cover it. We had to cover it, right? And then it got to a point where, you know, now integration's happening and all these sorts of things. But once again, because the black man is not supporting the black women in the home necessarily, even though he's out of the home, he's not supporting his children, we need to go back to work, right? And because we had to go back to work, we had our afros and our braids and all of these sorts of things. And you know what they turned around and told us? You don't fit here. You don't fit the ethos. You're not, you know what I'm saying? You don't look like the part. So we weren't getting jobs because of our hair. So what did the black woman have to do? She had to adapt. And the only way to adapt was wearing a wig. Now we were looking more European. Now we wouldn't offend white people. So now we were more palatable, right? And if we talked white and looked kind of white, you know, then we would get the jobs. And that is how, you know, the wigs have kind of taken off now, right? And that was happening for a while. Like, do you know there's even a law that is called the Crown Act?
But didn't know about that.
And it's in the UK. And the reason for that is because black women or black people in general were discriminated against their hair when we wore our locks and all of these sorts of things. So when you really sit down and think about, okay, why is it such a sensitive subject? It's because the black men didn't tell us that our hair was beautiful. The black men didn't tell us that we need to show our hair. And the black men right now that sleep with women, the women still wear wigs. So your advice or you wanting us to wear our hair is lost because you don't go for natural women. Not you necessarily, but I'm saying black men don't only sleep with natural women. You still, are susceptible to big batty and big breasts. And if she has a wig on, he doesn't really care, right?
But I think people kind of need to separate the act of sex and love type thing at the same time, because I think, especially with men, I think like just because a man sleeps with someone doesn't mean that he cares about that specific person.
Yeah, but you must be attracted to how she looks, and what we're looking at is she's got on a 30-inch bust down blood clot wig, right, and a titty them out and a batty them fat, and you're still going to go for that because that is what you're attracted to. If you, instead of going for the girl with the curly kinky coily ringlets, or the girl with the braids or whatever it is, right, instead of going for that, you want to go for the woman with the wig, and you're sleeping with women in wigs. If you weren't sleeping with women in wigs, then you necessarily see a change in black women. But I don't hear on a daily that a black man telling black women, I like your hair, I love your hair, keep doing it like that. You don't even tell your own daughters that. You don't. So, and this is the thing that really frustrates me when black men talk on this, is because you actually don't know what black women have gone through in terms of their hair and how we were made to feel unattractive. And for a black man to sit here in front of me and say that his preference is a white woman, that is still a smack in the face.
No, that's real life.
So why the hell would we listen to anything that a black man has to say on our hair? Because even he don't even take that shit seriously.
No, but I think it depends on the black man as well. Because obviously there's some men that are kind of like on the white girl thing, but I feel like there's enough guys that I could probably call right now, and they would agree with me that the natural hair thing, I prefer that over like. But obviously, I understand your point.
Yeah, but if I was to wear my hair like yours, black men wouldn't see that as attractive because they are more susceptible to texturism, right? And it's about the texture of a girl's hair. So they like the because I've literally done a video on it, right? Where a black American girl, literally, her hair weren't combed and all these sorts of things. You had black men in the comments saying that she looked like... what's that, you know, that black guy that has the straight grey hair, what's his name?
Freeman. What's his name?
Anyway, they were basically comparing her to a ugly black man, right? All because the texture wasn't right, or it was too nappy and all of those sorts of things. And the comments were saying, oh, we said natural but not this natural. That is how they go on. So a black man can never sit in my face and tell me, oh, I want your hair natural, because baby, you do not, right? And he's like, oh, well, you need to maintain it and you need to have to look after it. Do you know how much work that is? When I've got how many kids, I've got a job that I not know, barefoot, stay-at-home housewife. Do you know how long it takes for me to wash my hair, grease it, you have the sort of hair too, you know it. But some of them, majority of them, cut off their hair. That's not what black women do. We have to manipulate it. We have to be mindful about the jobs that we're going to and all of these sorts of things. Can you imagine being a CEO of a white company and coming in with cane rows? Look at what Michelle Obama had to do with her hair just to be palatable to everyone, because she knew no one's ready. No one's ready.
Real life? No, I hear what you're saying still. No,
Can you imagine Michelle coming up with Barack Obama and she has braids like she had cane rows in the... Come on!
I hear you, man. I hear you. And I definitely hear that. So... maybe what the community is missing overall, both men and women, is like self-love.
Yes.
I think it's like we don't love I think the reason why we find it hard to love each other is because we don't love ourselves.
Yes.
And I think a lot of self-hate, I personally think all black people have a level of self-hatred in them. Because obviously we've had slavery, then on top of slavery we had colonialism, and on top of colonialism we've had discrimination, especially pre-90s and that. And it's like, I think even if it's on a subconscious level, there's a level of self-hate that most black people will probably have, because it's like, it's just so deep ingrained in society that, because sometimes I'll be thinking, like, even if I see some shit, I'll be like, that's some nigga shit, and it's like, that really shouldn't come to mind, but it's the fact that the hatred is so been deep, it's been about for so long and entrenched. That's a natural reaction. So, that's some black nigga shit, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because this is the thing. When black people are loud, or when black people are having fun, or whatever it is, and, you know, we function in a white country, we also have white values too. As much as we don't want to admit it, we have taken on some sort of, you know, the attitudes of white people and all of these sorts of things. So I can understand, you know, that part in terms of, you know, this self-hatred. But I feel like we are now deprogramming ourselves to not think that way, and I feel like it's more in black women in particularly when it comes to our community, because how she moves, what she wears, I like to feel like, well, this is my personal opinion, but I like to feel like black women are the black culture. So whatever is, or black men and women are the black culture, right? But whatever's popping off in the black culture, everybody else wants a piece of it. And we are the influence, right? No, globally, no matter where you go, black people are the influence. They are the innovators. They are the creators. And I feel like we let too many people into our community. And because we let too many people into our community, that breeds the self-hate, because that breeds the division, because we're not supporting each other as much as we should. And that's because we're letting too many people come in here and act like us, talk like us, and walk like us. Absolutely the fuck not. Close the culture off. Even for a couple of years. Me personally, I feel like 10 years closure of culture to bring us up to the level where we need to be. Close our culture off. No, you can't do that song. No, you can't wear that dress. No, you can't behave like us. No, you can't speak our lingo. No, you can't know our language. That's the sort of thing that I'm on, because the infiltrators are there. And they are causing the divisiveness. Can you imagine? You know, you've seen them videos where like a white person does the fucking shaku on their beat or whatever it is, and everyone's clapping their hands and all of these sorts of things. Or when white people are doing the Jamaican dances and all of these sorts of things, and they're clapping up their hands. It's just like, so what? A white person dance, get over it. You know what I'm saying?
No, I definitely heard that, man. I think it's a thing of like, I think it's kind of like maybe a part of some black people want to appease white people.
Yes.
You know?
Can we get into the real conversation? Can we get into the black savior complex? Because I've spoken about it before, and I don't really feel like people have grasped it, right? The black savior complex is, because we know oppression and because we know discrimination so well, we as a black people feel like nobody should go through what we go through. So when we see another minority being discriminated against or whatever it is, we automatically feel like, no, we need to protest for them. We need to speak up for them. We need to protect them. But when it comes to the other minorities doing the same for us, they are on mute. They do not speak up for us as much as they should in their droves. They do not protest for us as much as they should in their droves. They are mute and they are silent, right? And they let black people do the majority of the work. They'll let black people get licked down and all of these sorts of things just for the law to pass. Oh yeah, black people, well done, you did your thing. And what do we get in return? Absolutely nothing, because we have this black savior complex, like we should be saving everyone. No, we need to save our damn selves.
No, definitely. Because you know what? This kind of brings me to a different topic. That shout out my boy Baba Shakar. But basically, he was. Because what do you think about like the whole like black people supporting Palestine? Because for me, I support Palestine. However, I do think like as black people, especially Africans, the main priority should be Congo and Sudan, because it's very close to home, you know, and it's our continent. So what's your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are, at the end of the day, G-side is a G-side, right? Killing and unaliving people is just a big no-no, right? But I feel like Palestine's more of like a trend sort of thing, and it's a global thing, and it absolutely needs to be a global thing. But I feel like black people need to prioritize where they're putting their energy and all of these sorts of things. But because it's been drilled in us that unity is the way and unity is the only way, and not to consider yourselves before anyone else, that is why we're rooting for Palestine and all those sorts of things. As I said before, genocide is wrong on all fronts, and you should absolutely speak up against it. But when it comes to, you know, Ibrahim Traore said this, it made sense to me when he said it, and he was like, because the journalist came up to him and he was basically saying, oh, what do you think about the genocide that's happened in Palestine? And Ibrahim Traore turned around and said, how can I focus on Palestine when Congo and Sudan are also going through a genocide, right? And that is right on my soil and my continent. How can I advocate for other people when my people need me the most? He was like, I have no problems advocating for them, but when my people are safe and when my people are, you know what I'm saying, like doing good, that I absolutely will advocate for them and take up the fight and all of those sorts of things. But my focus needs to be on my continent and the black people. And until we do that and get there, I can't be focused on that right now.
Right. No, I fully agree with that, because I do think we should always stand up for Palestine and whatnot.
Absolutely.
However, I think the main things our main priority should be our
people. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Because to be fair, that's what happens the other way
Right.
around,
But
so.
from what my understanding is, the Palestinians are, from the Arab culture, right?
Yeah.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but I would assume that they're from the Arab culture, right? So the Arabs should absolutely put Palestinians first above all, and then also, advocate for Congo and Sudan when they can. But, in terms of the black people, we should also do the same. Like, we should put Congo and Sudan first and absolutely then advocate for Palestine. Some people be like, oh, you can do it all together and do it. Well, no, because now I'm splitting up my energy and my time. And where's best that I need to put my time? Because if I'm putting it in 3 different places, I'm going to be burnt out. You know what I mean? Like, you need to help your people first.
No, definitely. What do you think about interracial relationships? Are you a supporter of them, or do you discourage against them?
Okay, so I was pro-black many years ago, right? Especially when it came to interracial relationships. And I had a really big problem when my brothers were dating outside of their race. For me, it was extremely triggering. But I remember seeing a YouTube video of this woman. She was called The Mahogany Effect, or Black Mahogany, or something like that, right? And she broke down the promise of black love. And she said that basically black women have been brainwashed and conditioned to only date black men. Right? So what does that mean? That means we as little girls have grown up to believe that the black family is the only way, that we should only look for a good, strong black man and have black kids and have a black family and all of those sorts of things, right? But when black men are being brought up, they are not taught or they are not conditioned to have a black family necessarily. What they are taught are, you need to survive, you need to do this as a man, if you want to date whoever you want to date, just as long as she's a good woman and she loves you and all of those sorts of things, right? So there are 2 different ways that little black girls and little black boys are brought up. So then when we grow up and we are on the dating scene now, because little black girls have been brainwashed to believe that, black men, they're only for us and all of these sorts of things. But black men, they've been brought up to be like, chase pussy, you know what I mean? And whoever's got, you know what I'm saying? And whoever's there, whatever it is, do your damn thing. So that's where the disparities lie. And when she broke that down on the YouTube video, I'm saying, wow. So I was brainwashed as a little girl to believe that black men are the be all and end all to my troubles. And to be honest, they're not. And I'm with a black man, don't get it twisted. But I understand why black women date outside their race. And I feel like it's different. I feel like black men date outside their race because they believe that it's a status thing. I feel like they believe that with a white woman, you have a better quality of life, or quite a quality of life. They don't really have necessarily standards that, you can kind of take the piss with them a bit. To be fair, because they are, amenable and malleable and all of those sorts of things, right? And he just sees the white way of life as not the struggle, right? That's what he sees. Because I really believe that black men see black women as a struggle life. And when you're dating a white woman, you've kind of made it, sort of thing. And we can see that in our celebrities, in our footballers and all of those sorts of things. Majority of them, when black men come into a bit of money, they're more likely to go for a white woman.
But do you think that's just an environment thing?
No, I think it's an intention thing, because how can you come from a predominantly black area, you've made money, now all of a sudden you're moving in white circles and you're dating white women, when you was in the community and in the ghetto, you were fucking black women. And you were in relationships with black women.
Because obviously, I'm trying to think of based off what footballers you're talking on, or celebrities. But because in my head, I would think like, if you're in, for example, if someone's a rich, whoever footballer, for example, is a rich footballer, and they're in white circles, the likelihood of finding a white woman is going to be higher than finding a black woman.
But then, as a black man, you should be conscious enough to know, I've come into money. I want children to look like me. So I'm going to move in circles. You don't even have to, and this is what Dr. Umar said, you don't even have to have a black British gal. You can have an American one, a black one. You can have a South African one, an Angolan one. A Ghanaian one. You can travel to these countries. It's not like you don't travel. You can travel to these countries and place yourself. It's about your intention. And what your intention is, you don't give a fuck about your community enough to date and marry a black woman. You don't love yourself enough to do that. You don't see the benefit in having black children to do that, right? So this is where we're going wrong. So now let me just wrap up the black women's side of things, because now I've kind of defined what I think about in terms of black men. When it comes to black women, because we see the rejection, right? We see the rejection in how black men chastise us for how we look, how we parent, how we dress, and all of those sorts of things. I feel like black women now are more confident in dating outside their race because they've been programmed to believe that nobody else finds them attractive other than black men. And because they're not really approached by any other races other than black men, that reinforces that mindset that, oh, only black men find me attractive. But now we're starting to see a trend where black women are in interracial relationships, but they are loved correctly. So what do I mean by that? When I look at the interracial, I know you're twisting up your face, but let me land. When I look at the interracial relationships, right, and even marriages, the success rate of an interracial marriage as it pertains to a black woman is more successful than an interracial relationship as it pertains to a black man is less successful, right? And there has to be some sort of link between that. And that's because the black woman is being loved correctly. She's chosen her guy. Her guy, it's not a competition, because I feel like sometimes that's where we go wrong in black relationships. It's about competition, who's making the most money, who's this, who's that. Whereas when a black woman is operating from and having a relationship with a man from a different culture, he supports her. He wants her to do good. He will sit down and look after the kids while she goes to an interview. He will buy her a car to go to and from her workplace and whatever it is. A man that is outside of our community actually wants the black woman to succeed. He will put his money into and invest in her and, what she does and what she wants to do. I don't necessarily see that. I see more competition when it comes to our relationships between black men and black women. And also as well, I feel like black men still have a problem with just dating in general, because sometimes most of the time they still make the white woman a baby mom. It doesn't matter who you date, you still make the woman a baby mom.
But because at the same time, because a part of me would, my rebuttal to that would be like, a part of me thinks that it does take two. And I remember seeing a stat. I need to actually, I can't remember off the top of my head, but the stat was basically saying there's more single mothers there's more women with children than there is men with children.
Yes.
Which means women are going for the same type of men. And I think especially in our community, that's probably more prevalent. Because obviously a lot of our community's kind of been infiltrated to kind of respect only certain types of figures, if that makes sense. I feel like there's a high level of anti-intellectualism in our culture, and that only certain groups of people are promoted. Obviously that's changing, but and this is based off what I've kind of seen, you know what I mean?
I'm going to disagree with you there, and I'll tell you why. So, I'm going to break it down into categories, right, of black men that black women have to pick from. So we have the category of gay black men. We have the category, no, but this is a real thing. We have the category of men that commit DV. We have a category of mental health. We have a category of okay-ish type of men. And then we also have the category of successful black men, right? So out of that category, out of all the potential suitors, it's slim to none when you really think about it, right? Because I can't date a gay black man. I really don't want to be with an abuser. And I also don't want to be with a guy that commits, is a criminal and all of these sorts of things. And because we live in a chasm of these black men that we have to pick from, it's a small fucking pool. So it's a small pool.
There's plenty of straight men that don't abuse women, that don't do crime. There's
plenty. There's not plenty, because if there was plenty, then our community would look very different. If there's plenty,
no,
our community would look very different if the pool outweighed all of those options. Our community would definitely look different, and it doesn't. It does not.
Because I think a part of that is partially, and I'm not even blaming black women for this. I think it's the conditioning that we've been put under for the last 20, 30, 40 years. I think it's like a lot of people do pick that, if that makes sense.
Because I've just given you a pool of guys that black women have to pick from.
There's black men that go university, that do corporate jobs. There's black men.
This is what I said. I gave them the category, but that's a small category. That's a small category.
Black men that have jobs.
That is a small... Yeah, but some men are criminals, some men are gay, some men have mental health problems, and some men are abusers. And some men are actually really good, but they are rich, and they're more likely to date outside the race. Think about it.
Because don't you think like a lot of those... On the flip side, men can say there's a lot of women, like... If a coon was on this speaker,
go on.
If a coon was on this mic, he'll say there's a lot of black. Like there's a.
What?
What's it?
What's the pool of black? What's the pool of black women that black men have to pick from?
Oh, cool.
Go on.
Obviously, you got the good ones, the sweet ones.
Yes.
You got the sweet ones. You got ones that are doing alright from themselves,
yes.
and on top of that, I think you also got ones with mental health.
Yes.
You got ones that I feel some level of entitlement to your P's and what you do type shit. And
entitlement is not a status. That's not a characteristic. Entitlement is not a characteristic. I gave you a pool of specifically what a gay man, a criminal, a guy that has a job, and a rich man, and also a man that commits domestic violence. That's the pool that I gave. So in terms of the characteristic, the character of the woman that would put a man off, what would that be?
Okay, I'll say someone someone who's somewhat entitled or isn't appreciative.
Okay, go on.
That is a characteristic.
That's not.
How's that not a characteristic?
Because you can change that. I can't change someone who's gay. I can't change, not really someone who's in among a criminal activity or who's been to prison.
You can change. People can change their behaviours and decide.
Yeah, but if you're a criminal, you're a criminal. And we have criminals out there. We have 40-year-old criminals who are doing the same thing.
No, but I think you can go to jail one time for like 2 years.
Yeah, but then they will transition into the pool of all right men, right? Yeah, so we have that. We have mental health guys, because guys are depressed to the point where they also take it out on family members and all those sorts of things. They don't really help themselves. And then we have rich guys who make money, are all right, but what do? They date outside their race. So if you were to put a pool of characteristics of black women, what would it be? Because having entitlement is just maybe her upbringing, where she was spoiled by her parents and she has standards. Can a man meet that standard?
From stuff that I've seen in real life, it's not even that, honestly.
So what? An ungrateful woman? You can change that.
I can't change that. That person has.
Yeah, but she has. That. But being ungrateful is about having a standard met. You don't even have to say thank you every single. You don't have to say thank you every single time. But some men perceive that as, you know, them wanting to do for their woman, and some men perceive that as grateful. Some men would say that I'm grateful because of certain things that I won't allow or will allow in my relationship. It's just about how you define it, right? But I'm saying the pool of men that black women have to choose from is quite slim. So you can't necessarily say, oh, they date the same person. Absolutely, they need to raise. I would think black women absolutely have to raise their standards and hold them. And that's one thing that they don't do. They don't hold their standards, right? And they let men come in and out of their lives, and they have the same partner because they're so delusional that they're stuck on him that, oh, we can change. It's a woman thing, right? But it's like, oh, I can change him. I can make him better if I just did this and I just did that, right? And that breeds, you know, because some men resent that because it's like they don't want a Barbara the Builder bitch. They want someone who is on their same level, right? You can do that, but sometimes as well, it's like the black man's ego to the point where he don't feel like he needs to step up or give the woman what she needs. He wants equality with a traditional fucking relationship. Something's got to give. And this is why we keep butting heads at black women and black men, because men are seeing us as equals. And we're not. I know my position. I know my role as a woman. If you want to lead me and you want to make the decisions, I have to relinquish that trust to you. You have to prove to me that you can do that. But having 6 fucking baby mums and running up and down at the road at 40 and not coming home when you say you're going to come home and not contributing to this household does not make me want to believe in you, or even, you know, for you to have the ability to lead. You're going to lead me straight to hell or off a Blumberclark cliff, and I don't want none of the two. And also a leader as well considers his woman's feelings, her perspective, and then he makes a decision. And that's not what a lot of black men do. They feel like, oh, I'm man and I'm macho and I just have to make the decisions and I'm going to put my foot down and that's it. No, a woman will not submit to you or want you to even lead her, because you haven't considered her perspective. Even though you're making the decision, you haven't considered her perspective.
Fair play. Yeah, to be fair, I can't really comment on that because I don't think I'm not in no state to be getting engaged and moving in with no one right now.
But it's good but at your age, it's good to know what you're looking for. So when you are ready to take that step, you know the woman that you want and the characteristics that she embodies. You really need to think about that, because, you know, I've had conversations with black men where they're like, oh, you know, because like they've sorted out their finances and they're kind of ready to settle down now, it's just the first girl that they see. And if you know, we click and whatever it is, it's not like you're my dream girl, but we click and I've got the money and I'm ready to have a kid now. So yeah, let's do it. But really, truly, he's not in love with her. He don't want to be with her. He don't really value her, but she's all right for now.
No, to be fair, you're spot on with that. To be fair, I think I already have my kind of idea of what I
Good.
want. But obviously,
Wait, tell me, what is that?
in terms of what characteristics?
So let's just say, because now I'm interested in the dating thing, right? So let's just say you are dating, right? What are the 3 characteristics that you want in a woman or a girlfriend or a wife, whatever? What are the 3 characteristics? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. So
Okay.
I'll say patient.
Good.
I'll say someone who loves kids.
Good.
And someone who's actually somewhat family orientated. Someone who actually like loves family.
That's amazing. All of those 3 characteristics are absolutely amazing. Now, what if she displays 1 out of the 2? Would you still entertain her? 2 out of the 3?
We could work on it.
Absolutely. And that's how you need to date and live your life. If you can't even gauge that through conversation, there's no point in asking her on a date. If she don't even hit those 3 or 2 characteristics, there's no point spending money on her.
Raw life. But yeah, How about this? In terms of interracial relationships, do you think we should be discouraging them, or should we kind of just be focused on just giving black kids like that self-love and that self-worth?
Yeah, I feel like I can't stop the loins of black men, right? They're gonna spread their seed wherever they feel like, and no one's gonna talk them out of it. I feel like what we need to do is focus on the black kids that we have now and teach them self-love, and also teach them that, you know, loving yourself is, and it also reflects in the partner that you have, right? And being intentional about the partner that you pick. I was very intentional about the black man that I wanted, and I prayed for him. Do you know what I'm saying? And he's an amazing father. He's an amazing partner. And, you know, I'm extremely lucky because I also, when we started dating, I also had, you know, toxic, disgusting traits, right? And that's because of my upbringing and how I was raised and how my mum would talk to men, right? She would cuss them out and all of those sorts of things. So I thought that that was normal and how to operate. So that's what I did. But then there was other things that were going on with me, but I remember my sister pulling me out. I remember me and my partner being in an argument, and I used to wear my heart on my sleeve quite a lot. And, you know, I cussed him out so bad. And she turned around to me and she said, "Why did you do that?" And I was like, "Well, he didn't." And she was like, "It didn't need to be that deep. It wasn't that deep for you to do that to him." And when I looked at that and I said, "Rah, like, for the person that I love, I never want them to feel like that, right?" And so I have to get help. So what I did was I got a black woman therapist and I did the work. I had to do the work for my relationship. Yeah, I had to do my work for my relationship work because I was like, I love this man and he's been so patient with me. He never swears at me, never calls me out a name, never. He doesn't swear, he doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke. He's an amazing dad. You know what I'm saying? So why would I not try to improve and be a better person for myself and him and our child?
No, that's real. Honestly, that's real. That's real. I actually respect that heavy. And see, what you just said there, I think is what a lot more black people need to be doing.
Absolutely.
Because I feel like there's a lot of attitudes that we've been brought up with, and that we think we should be doing X, Y, and Z.
Yes.
And that's a part of the reason why we have this dysfunction in our community. So that's real. I respect that heavily.
I agree. Thank you.
I want to wrap it up though. Do you want to ask you a few more things?
Sure.
I want to ask you, do you think that religion helps or hurts black people?
I feel like religion is a tool to control people. But I also feel like it could help with discipline and understanding and having sympathy and empathy for another human being. And I feel like we just need to be careful about who is among us. And, you know, because people have different values, different beliefs and all of those sorts of things. It needs to be respected and not disrespected, right? But I also feel like we need to be on one accord. And I don't necessarily feel like black people are on one accord. And that's something I feel like we need to work on a lot.
No, definitely. What do you mean by one accord?
Like, we have so many different factions of different beliefs, but I feel like, and I respect them all, but I definitely feel like we need to get back to African spirituality. Because we know in our melanin, we know in our core, we know in our heart, we know in our being that that's where we are rooted at. And I feel like we don't do enough research as to why that was removed from us.
You know what's crazy? Actually led me to what the final thing I was going to talk on as well.
Mm-hmm.
The last question. I was going to say that I feel like African spirituality and religion is often demonized, whilst other types of spirituality isn't.
Mm-hmm.
For example, Hinduism, Buddhism, Sikhism, you're allowed to do that. But if someone does something from back home.
Yeah.
Man's doing voodoo, man's doing crazy.
Yeah.
Even Obia, like I'm pretty sure.
Obia, yeah.
Obia was used.
That's an African spirituality thing when the slaves, came from Africa and was brought over here. Yeah.
Like that's what they did to help fight.
Yes, fight the oppressors. Yes.
Haiti, the first Black Republic, used they used voodoo.
Yeah.
To basically fight the French and defeat them.
Yeah.
And it's like I feel like it's been purposely instilled for us to dislike our indigenous religions, so that means we don't connect with ourselves, and two, they can kind of have more control over us.
Yes.
And also it helps us kind of demonize ourselves type shit, because there's times I speak to even Africans, bro, and they're like, oh, you know what, like I don't like colonization and slavery, but if it wasn't for the white man, we wouldn't I wouldn't have Christianity.
Oh, stop it. Stop it. But
real life.
You know,
like, at least they brought Christianity.
Oh, stop it. Stop it. And this is the thing. It's because in these certain countries, we don't know who we are. We don't know who we are, and we don't have enough education and enough knowledge to know who we are. Because if we were to look into spirituality and look into and study it for ourselves, and this is what I'm saying, we need to teach our children our own history. Because if we studied that and whatever it is, it would click and make sense, and the puzzles will start coming together. But because we want to assimilate so much and we live in a white supremacist society, that would never work. But this system is not for us. Never will be.
But you know the craziest thing back home, though? I think back home, like a lot of people, well, I wouldn't say a lot, but some people do look down on even the own thing that, like the indigenous religions, whether in Africa or even the Caribbean.
Yeah.
And you know what's crazy as well? Like, at least for example, with Nigerians, bro, like some people will talk down on certain things, but they'll be doing it on a slide.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Oh, 100%. You know, I recently discovered that after America, the biggest kind of population of Christians is Nigeria. That's the next, you know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, wow, how can you be on the continent of Africa and praying to a white God?
You know, I don't even think it's necessarily the bad thing about Christianity, but I think it's like the form of Christianity that they imported into our continent isn't the one that we should be practicing. For example, the Coptic Christians in Egypt and Ethiopian and the Eritreans, they do Orthodox Christianity. That one was like way before the white man. So if you want to do Christianity, why don't we do Orthodoxy? Or why don't we do Celestial, if you know what Celestial is? You know what Celestial is? Why don't we do that, you know what I mean? Instead of like doing what America, because for example, Pentecostal. Yeah, Pentecostal. I'm pretty sure that was a white American that made that shit up. And then imported it back to Africa.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing as well, and what people don't realize. Like, when you think about, especially Christianity, people don't know how many times that was transcribed, right? And because words have different meanings, and some people weren't well versed in what, you know, when it came to the scrolls and how to translate it, there are so many translations of those same scrolls, but words have different meanings. So and this is a thing now, when you know, the white man left certain books out of Christianity and certain things because they didn't feel like, you know, it was important or whatever it is. It's like now you're fabricating the word of God, because every single book should be included in that, because it's the word of God, regardless of whether you can verify it or not. It is the word of God, right? And because they translated it into different languages, different, you know, versions, we now don't know. We now lost the meaning of what the word of God is, right? Because you could say it in one language, but hear it in a different one, and it completely lost its meaning. So I feel like people do need to go down, be educated, do their research and stuff like that. I do absolutely believe in God, but I would not be praying to a white one. And we just keep it like that.
Mic drop, man. Mic drop. But same way in Africa, like, a lot of people are Muslim as well.
Yeah.
There's a lot. And to be fair, You know what? With Islam, to be fair, I do fuck with elements of it. To be fair, I do fuck with like the structure that Islam gives you. I think the brotherhood aspect of it.
Yeah.
I do, but then I think there's certain other troublesome aspects of it. And obviously, and again, I think if you look at the Arab world, a lot of them are very anti-black as well. Like, guys, research the kafala system, research how a lot of black people are treated and what they're called when, especially if you come with an African passport.
Yeah.
Dark, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. I've heard even like one experience where I think it was like a black British person. They came, I don't know whether it was Egypt or whether it's the UAE, but they basically tried to accuse them of having like a fake passport or something like that. And the way they were treated was a bit mad. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, fair enough. It's kind of like a lottery, really. It just depends who you buck up on. I'm not gonna lie.
No, definitely. But you know what? I think we're gonna wrap that up there. But I think I actually fucked with this one heavy. I think like maybe we might even do this another one. Honestly.
Yeah, we should absolutely.
So Elaine, I appreciate you for coming down. You guys tap in with me, subscribe, like, you know the vibe. We out.